got a good topic.
What?
What are your... How do I put this? What are your foods that that you continue to look for everywhere you go? Like something that you had that was just the best X in,
All right, we'll talk about that on the show.
in Virginia
Mike's
Beach.
going out.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to rock and roll on the show live on my Facebook, J-Dubs.
Excellent.
Join us in the conversation on today's show. Today's show is going to be a dialogue about Charlottesville, Albemarle, and Central Virginia. Join us in that conversation, viewers and listeners, as we discuss our community. A lot going on in Charlottesville and Albemarle County right now, and Central Virginia right now, with the University of Virginia right now. I'll try to rattle off some of the things that are happening now or within the next couple of months. In the next couple of months, the University of Virginia is going to host championship weekend for NCAA lacrosse. The lacrosse Final Four will be at Scott Stadium. In the next couple of months, we're going to celebrate the 50-year anniversary of the downtown mall. In the next couple of months, we're going to have the 250-year anniversary of the country celebrated at Monticello. Currently, we have the embattled former CEO of UVA Health suing attorneys who he says disgraced him personally and professionally.
And then used the reports to I don't know. He's saying a lot of crazy stuff, and there's some questions about whether or not the report that was given at the Board of Visitors meeting actually still exists.
We have a developer that's looking to bring more attached inventory to northern Albemarle County at North Point, Great Eastern Management Company. It's a lot. It's just a dynamic community. We have historically marginalized neighborhoods, Fifeville and 10th and Page, Star Hill neighborhoods that are fighting against new development. We have a city manager that's seems like he's working within a hornet's nest every single day, a stirred hornet's nest every day. There's a lot going on in this community. We'll talk about it on the show and encourage you to join us in on the discussion. We live on YouTube, J-Dubs.
Yep.
Live on LinkedIn, live on I Love CVille Facebook, live on the I Love CVille group, J-Dubs, live on my personal Facebook. Viewers and listeners, like and share the show, please. That would mean the world to us. Live on Twitter, J-Dubs. Yep, we are. I think we can rock and roll when you're ready, Judah.
Quiet on the set.
Welcome to the I Love CVille show, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and thank you kindly for joining us on a Wednesday afternoon in downtown Charlottesville. Just 2 miles from the John Paul Jones Arena and from Scott Stadium in the University of Virginia. That's where we sit right now. We're a hop, skip, and a jump away from City Hall, the hop, skip, and a jump away from the new courthouse in Court Square. We're half a block from the downtown mall, and Judah and I were talking about before the show the level of dynamic that exists in Charlottesville and Albemarle and across Central Virginia. And he's right. It's wild how much there is to talk about on a daily basis. I want to touch on some of the highlights before we dig into this on the show today. Let's just take the University of Virginia. The basketball team is one of the most well-funded basketball teams that are out there. I mean, the roster is a United Nations of basketball talent. The best players from Belgium, the starting centers from Germany. You got 23-year-olds and 24-year-olds on the roster who are earning hundreds of thousands of dollars to play hoops. Really, if you look at Ryan Odom's roster, it's Elijah Gertrude and Chance Mallory as contributors that represent basketball as we know it before name, image, and likeness. Athletes recruited from high school by a coaching staff, developed in the off-season, game experience during the regular season, and now counted on for contributions in the postseason. Outside of Chance Mallory and Elijah Gertrude, the entire roster, the nine guys that play specifically, are direct products of pay-for-play hoops. And it's worked for UVA. We're in the NCAA tournament, and there's an opportunity to make a deep run, especially if the team plays like Ryan Odom's team played in the loss to Duke in the ACC tournament final. It's the level of funding. UVA basketball just got a $1 million contribution. A husband and wife that are graduates of the University of Virginia. The announcement was made within the last 24 hours. A $1 million donation to fund basketball and men's and women's golf. You talk about a dynamic community. How about the lacrosse Final Four championship weekend? It's at Scott Stadium in a couple of months. The World Cup is impeding on its normal setting, Philadelphia area, and instead it's going to be here in Charlottesville. You talk about a dynamic community. The former CEO of UVA Health, the embattled Craig Kent, is now suing the attorneys that represented the anonymous 128, Judah?
Yeah.
And he's saying these attorneys disgraced him personally and professionally and have kept him from being able to get any kind of job in medicine moving forward. And as a result, he's deserved a bag of money. You talk about a dynamic community we live in. There's still folks chomping at the bit to rid the University of Virginia of Scott Beardsley. Here we are in the middle of March. It's been 3 months of his tenure. And community members, activists, maybe you call them activists, professors, assistant professors, teaching assistants, grad students, are still efforting to remove Scott Beardsley from Cars Hill as the president of the University of Virginia. You talk about a dynamic community we live in. Did you know there's a developer locally, Great Eastern Management Company, great reputation, Great Eastern Management Company, that's looking to bring hundreds, I'm talking about, of incremental housing units to North Point on the Albemarle County, close to the Albemarle County, Greene County line. Hundreds of housing units at North Point, while a partner of the show, Stanley Martin Homes, they're fantastic at what they do. They build honest homes, innovative homes, technology-savvy homes. They do it in a communicative capacity. Stanley Martin Homes is bringing thousands of units to Greene County. You have a dynamic and very quickly evolving community that is looking to coexist alongside AstraZeneca and its $4.5 billion headquarters, a global headquarters for a publicly traded behemoth in Albemarle County on land purchased by the government. Albemarle County purchased it from Wendell Wood. The most significant landowner in Albemarle is the Wood family, United Land Company. Years ago, the Board of Supervisors did a clandestine deal to purchase acreage, nondescript acreage, undevelopable acreage afterthought acreage from the most prominent and significant landowner in Albemarle, Wendell Wood, and his company, United Land Company. And that deal today looks like it's the most significant driver of Albemarle County's economy in history, save the University of Virginia's birth and development. It's just astonishing. Albemarle County bought the land from its top tax contributor, at least from a real estate standpoint. Then, with the help of Glenn Youngkin, formed a strategic partnership with a publicly traded company who is now building its $4.5 billion global headquarters. And as a result of that investment, thousands of homes are popping up within a 3-wood of AstraZeneca's footprint. It's just wild. And then as we come down Albemarle, as we come down the green Albemarle line, we know Corin Capshaw's doing housing development. As we come down the Albemarle Greene County line down Route 29, we see the revitalization of shopping centers into omni-experiential locations. Coco's and Dr. Daniel Halpert are on the cusp of opening. Their neighbors are a pickleball facility, Smash Pickleball. Lauren and Colleen and Chris are doing a great job there. Our friend Brett Lillard has converted a shopping space in that same shopping center to a jiu-jitsu studio. So during the pandemic, you had a Marshalls and a Big Lots and a vacant shopping center left to die that's now being repositioned as omni-experiential. Talk about dynamic. Ladies and gentlemen, Albemarle County is doing a hell of a job with driving economic vitality. You talk about a dynamic community we live in. You work your way into Charlottesville, and then you almost have a polar opposite scenario going on. Yesterday, Tuesday, community leaders got together. And they got together in the auditorium of the Code building. Jaffrey Woodruff built that wonderful building on the downtown mall. He's got an auditorium where folks can use. He got a plan for it, but fantastic facility. And there was a panel yesterday. This panel, friend of the program, Greer Achenbach, the executive director of Friends of CVille there. Friend of the program, Travis Wilburn, the hospitality and tourism and virtuoso. He does a lot of stuff in the rental space, high-end rentals, short-term rentals with Stay Charlottesville. He's now also assumed the management of and ownership, I should say, of Old Metropolitan Hall since Stefan Friedman's House of Cards has collapsed. Travis has got his hands in a lot of things. He's well plugged in. He was a part of the panel. So was Greer. So was Juan Diego Wade. So was someone from the Chamber of Commerce. And they were talking about how to improve the downtown mall and maintain vitality for downtown Charlottesville for the next 50 years. Of course, the houseless population came up. Speaking to my mentor this morning, Bill Nitchman. He owns real estate all over the community. Do a lot of work with Bill. Help him with a lot of stuff. Proud to work alongside Bill. To this day, I still learn from Bill Nitchman. I've legitimately been learning from this man for close to 15 years. I leased an office building before I started buying commercial space from Bill Nitchman. And for 18 months while renting from him, I picked his brain and absorbed everything humanly possible. Then I started doing a lot of the stuff that he's doing real estate-wise. This morning I'm meeting with him, and he lives in the eastern portion of Albemarle County, and he drives by Free Bridge all the time, and he saw the encampment. We started talking about it. It's growing. It's becoming more significant. When Sam Sanders was talking about the 2-cent real estate tax rate increase on Monday before City Council, you know what was interesting to me? Conan Owen also brought this to my attention. Sam Sanders didn't mention the homeless encampment in any capacity. Did not mention the servicing of the houseless. Wraparound services for the houseless. He talked about the unionization of city employees. He talked about collective bargaining as the driving force for the 2-cent tax rate increase in Charlottesville. But there was no mention of an encampment that has got roughly 200 people under Free Bridge, sleeping on the Rivanna Trail, an urban wilderness loop next to the Rivanna River, one of the most significant amenities in Charlottesville and Albemarle County. You're going to do a tax increase, and you're going to do it because of collective bargaining and the unionization of city employees, but you're not talking about the houseless population that is also getting some of tax resource funding. What a dynamic community we live in that has left us with, or presented with us, or troubled us, depending on how you look at it, with so many different storylines to chatter about, to discuss, to either champion and support, or to feel the emotions of flabbergasted, or infuriation, or uncertainty. You got the historically marginalized communities of 10th and Page and the Star Hill neighborhood and CVille that are currently fighting the development of student housing. These are the same folks that rallied to drive the new zoning ordinance for more density, more supply, stabilized price points. And these exact folks are now fighting housing because it's next to them. What a dynamic community we live in. You got a homeless shelter that cost $6.2 million on Holiday Drive, $6.2 million, that was purchased last year, does not have an operator, and needs roughly another $10 million to convert from an office space into an actual shelter. What a dynamic community we live in, where we're going to have $16 million invested in a houseless shelter that's not going to open 36 months from now, and will only have 80 beds or so within it. What a dynamic community we live in, a time where there were 2 other shelters proposed, and the communities next to those other homeless shelters, including the one on Cherry Avenue, rallied to kibosh it, saying, we don't want the houseless living next to us. I want you to help me understand this. The same folks that live in the Prospect neighborhood in CVille along Cherry Avenue that killed a homeless shelter in the Salvation Army spot on Cherry Avenue are the same people that are now saying we must support the homeless in any way possible. Make it make sense. What a dynamic community we live in. A lot I want to cover today on the program. It's going to be a conversational show. I want to support a business that I believe in considerably and significantly, and that's Charlottesville Sanitary Supply and Charlottesville Swimming Pool Company. They've been in operation for 62 years, Charlottesville Sanitary Supply. They have a website and e-commerce one now where you can buy anything for your house, cleaning or sanitary related, swimming pool related, vacuum cleaning related, vacuum repair related, and it will be delivered on your doorstep the same day, most likely, free of charge at a price point that the big box brands can't beat. And their swimming pool company, Charlottesville Swimming Pool Company, is who you contact for anything swimming pool related. We do, our family does, our pool. They're the consultants of swimming pools locally. Pool covers, pool robots, pool shade for pools, water testing, anything, chlorine. Judah, studio camera, then a 2-shot. A dynamic community that we live in that saw a restaurant owner with 8 businesses and 7 storefronts close recently. A dynamic community that we live in that currently has the Belmont Market, the historic Belmont Market for sale right now. And the architectural plans that are presented for the historic Belmont Market. One of my clients sent this to me this morning. The plans put together by talented brokers, Johnny Pritzloff and Jenny Stoner, are one that repositions the Belmont market into an 8-unit boutique hotel and street front wine bar with a street front wine bar. You're talking the Belmont market. I used to live at 203 or 208 Little Graves. I'd have to drive by and remember the address. It was either 208 or 203 Little Graves. It was the first home on the left on Little Graves in Belmont, which is one of the streets directly behind where Spudnuts was, right off of Grave Street. My buddy and I, my 3 buddies and I lived there. One of our buddies climbed a rope ladder into the attic that was non-HVAC'd and slept on a mattress on plywood in the attic in the winter, spring, summer, and fall. We used to stumble down Little Graves in Belmont. We'd cut through this dirt, pothole-ridden alleyway at the end of Little Graves that connected us to downtown Belmont. And at the time, downtown Belmont, it consisted of Mas Tapas. That was before the Easter family, Melissa Easter, brought La Taza, the coffee shop that is Bell, to market. And it was happening as Adam Frazier, who lived on Grave Street, was building the local out. Sweat equity. He was literally doing the work himself. Adam Frazier, Renaissance man. We used to buy natural light, Natty Light cases at the Belmont market. And these were the Natty Light cases where the owner at the time would take a 24-pack, would chop it in half into a 12-pack, and keep the beers into the chopped in half case with clear masking tape the beers in, and sold the 12 packs individually. Maybe he got a deal buying cases, and that's how he's trying to improve margin. Belmont Market, a place where you could buy lottery tickets and cigarettes and cheap domestic beer 20-some years ago. That was 21 years ago. Now it's being marketed for sale, Belmont Market, 843 Monticello Road, as a 8-unit boutique hotel with a wine bar on street level. It's wild, the dynamic community we live in. I also was sent another opportunity yesterday. It's official. The South Street listing is on the market. South Street Brewery. It's an opportunity for you, a potential entrepreneur, to lease a brewery space, a hop, skip, and a jump from the downtown mall. South Street Brewery is well situated right now for anyone to take it over and to run it as a brewery should you choose. Let's not forget the craft beer market is shrinking with consumers and losing market share. Let's not forget the food and beverage market is shrinking from a customer base standpoint and losing market share. Let's not forget the fact that third-party delivery like Grubhub and Uber Eats are changing social and human behavior. Less eating inside restaurants at tables or at bars, and more ordering through third-party and having the food delivered to your home. Shrinking margins for the food and beverage owner, making it more difficult than ever to survive third-party delivery. What a dynamic time we live in. We don't talk about this stuff. What a dynamic time we live in. Albemarle County utilizing bonds to the tune of $150+ million for capital improvement projects tied to schools, Mountain View Elementary. $150+ million in bonds to fund staff that work for Albemarle County's government. Haven't even gotten to the UVA corner. Still got the same old vacancies that we've had for so long. Little John's, yeah. Michael's Bistro. You know, I read an article, Scott Aaronworth sent this to me. The Cavalier Daily did an article about Boylan Heights.
When was this?
Within the last week. Okay. In fact, I could probably call it up right now. Boylan Heights used to be Orbit. Boylan Heights is the he sent it to me on Wednesday, March 11th. I'll give you the name of the article. Scott Aaronworth, an attorney from Virginia Beach that watches the show, that's a big-time foodie. It was published on March 2nd, so we're talking 16 days ago. It's called The Fall and Rise of Boylan Heights. Boylan Heights was the bar for so long, pre-COVID. It was the spot where folks would go to watch anything sports-related. It had 2 levels of bars, a first and second floor, and was always crowded at the intersection of 14 and West Main Street. J.R. Hadley made this one of the hottest spots in Charlottesville. J.R. sold his stake in this bar. It's owned by a couple of bar owners now, restaurant owners now, and like a lot in food and beverage, has struggled mightily. Boylan Heights is trying to reinvent itself. And get ready for this, viewers and listeners. Do you want to know how Boylan Heights is trying to reinvent itself? Do you want to know, Judah?
Sure.
As a board game bar.
Oh, yeah.
As a spot where you can go and play checkers or chess or Parcheesi or Monopoly and other board games.
We seem to be getting more and more of those around here.
Anyone, I respect the hustle and chutzpah that they're willing to try anything to be successful. Okay? But it's also an indication of the challenges that are out there in this world that we live in of 2026, where people have every board game possible as an app on their phone.
Oh, that's not true.
You disagree? I play chess on my phone with people all over the world. Devin Barchaleski
Chess, of course.
got me into an app, chess related, on my phone. You can play Monopoly on your phone, Parcheesi. It's not the same,
Yeah.
but it's convenient.
I know people that play Settlers of Catan via.
But Judah, how's it any
Computer.
different than using Uber Eats or Grubhub to order food from Zocalo to eat it in your tidy whities in your bathrobe at home instead of going into the restaurant itself?
How's playing a board game?
It's the convenience. People are choosing to play the board game on their phone because they can play it while in their hand and not have to go face to face. We're seeing the human connection that is so important to society eroded. It's less about what you and I are doing, sitting across from each other and having a conversation, and more about having that conversation, I guess, as this show is airing, across social media. You take that South Street Brewery location. This is a Woodard property. Interestingly, the property right next door to South Street is also vacant and for rent. South Street's official last day, I should clarify, is April 6th. So you still have, what, 2 weeks and 2.5 weeks left if you want to patronize South Street. My wife and I went there this past Thursday, I think it was. Had a blast. The asking price per square foot is basically $22 a foot for the restaurant space. $22 a foot. That's not a small restaurant. Not on the mall. $22 a foot. $22 price per square foot.
What does that have to do with size? Oh, you're just saying that that's
The overhead. You utilize price per square foot to extrapolate monthly rent. You utilize monthly rent as a baseline to build a business model. My point is, it's expensive. What are you talking? 4,800 square feet over there at South Street? You talk about a dynamic community we live in. We're repositioning a historic convenience store into an 8-unit boutique hotel with a wine bar at storefront level. At least we're trying. We got the oldest brewery in Charlottesville's history that's going to be vacant in 2.5 weeks with a $22 a square foot asking price. I would imagine it's triple net. You got developers trying to build more housing. You had a meal at Hogwaller yesterday.
Yeah.
It's never short for conversation, my friend. This community.
Yeah.
You said you had some stuff you wanted to talk about, Judah.
Did I? I had a great meal at Hogwallers. It's a great little spot, kind of a hole in the wall. Enjoyable. Oh yeah, I think that's what
There you
reminded
go,
me
Judah.
what I was going to talk about.
You just write it down with a big Post-it note and put it right in the computer in front of you.
Except then we might not talk about it. I was just thinking about things that have stuck with me, meals, things that I've looked for, ever since. I don't know. Oh, I'm sure others have these. It could be a hometown treat, or something that your state did that you don't find anywhere else. Moon pies. I'd never heard of moon pies until I moved to Maine. Then we moved away. Don't really hear about them anymore. Again, that was never really a big thing for me. But for instance, California, Tommy Burgers. Oh man, the Hogwaller burger comes kind of close to the old Tommy Burgers, but just not quite the same. Those Tommy Burgers were 2 patties, nice thick slices of tomato, and some of the best chili I've ever had. And they packed it in butcher paper, so you could eat it without getting your hands messy. And when you were all done, you had a pocket of chili and cheese and onions and tomato left over. Oh, so good. What are some of your, I don't know, what do you call that?
Nostalgia?
Your nostalgic foods?
This is the nostalgia of our diet. I think that's why Riverside is popular. We went to Riverside on the weekend. It was my wife and I,
Yeah.
our 2 sons, and my in-laws who were in town. 4 adults and 2 kids. We each had burgers. My father-in-law had 2 beers. I had 2 beers. My wife had a soda. Our son had a lemonade. Our other son had a water. My mother-in-law, I believe, had a soda. We had a basket of onion rings, a basket of French fries. We had a basket of pepper jack cheese, deep-fried pepper jack cheese bites. We had double cheeseburgers. My father-in-law and I did. My mother-in-law had a cheeseburger. My wife had a bacon cheeseburger. My son had 2 orders of chicken tenders. My other son had chicken nuggets. The whole bill, soup to nuts, was like $100. I was taken aback with how affordable it was compared to some of the other eateries locally that we patronize. There's one that I love that right now has $9 IPA pints on its menu. I've talked about this on the past. I was taken aback by the $9 pint of beer.
Yeah,
And I
no doubt.
brought it in conversation up with the general manager, who's a friend, and he said, these are the price points we need to keep the lights on.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I asked, how has that impacted foot traffic? He says it absolutely has. They're taken aback that IPAs are $9 in cost. You talk about a dynamic community we live in, the theme of today's show. We are living in real time the gentrification of workforces and housing. We are living in real time a city manager that's grappling with how $275 million should be spent. We have data points all over the country. One I referenced yesterday in Los Angeles, thanks to Deep Throat, where a Ramada Inn was purchased by local government in Los Angeles. $20 million invested into it, and it's still vacant to this day. What a dynamic community we live in. CVille right now has coverage about activists in Charlottesville Conan Owen was talking about this in a text with me. Jason Abel is putting this on the I Love CVille network right now. Activists in Charlottesville are recreating a protest statue with Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein and plan to display it in the city. The statue depicts Trump and Epstein dancing hand in hand and is based on a protest piece that appeared in Washington, D.C.'s National Mall in September. An anonymous artist collective, The Secret Handshake, took credit for that D.C. statue.
Was that the one where they were recreating the prow of the boat scene from Titanic, except with Trump and Epstein?
It's just absolutely wild. It's activists locally in Charlottesville. Their best use of their time is to create a statue with Trump and Epstein holding hands.
I wonder how much the statue costs and how much in the way of...
But what's the point? Like, I understand the point,
but
I understand the point of having... I understand the effort, okay? I may not agree with the effort, but I understand the effort of removing the Lee statue from Lee Park. I get it. It's a statue that's local to Charlottesville that's seen all the time. I get it. But help me understand the effort that goes into memorializing Jeffrey Epstein in a statue here with Donald Trump.
It seems like a waste of money. It seems like someone's always angry about something. This, I think, is it's an angry, what do you call it?
It's called selective outcry.
Lashing out, wanting to hit someone and hurt someone, and creating a piece of artwork that...
I'll put this in perspective. What's going on? Dynamic community we live in. You got Daniel Halpert of Coco's Adventure Factory. He's a doctor. He's doing, 30 to 40,000 square feet in a former Big Lots location. And folks are so anti-capitalism and for-profit business that they're trying to utilize a couple of bad apple reviews from his medical practice as a way to smear what he's doing at Coco's. Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't understand the effort.
Yeah.
Is there not enough time in your day, or don't you have enough other things to do in your day to figure out other ways to utilize your most precious resource, your time? Mm-hmm. They're genuinely trying to do it to help Dr. Halpert, a good man, an honest man. You be in business as long as he's been in business. We've been in business for 18 years in May. Eventually, over the course of 18 years of running a business, there's going to be a disagreement with somebody that can be found online.
No doubt.
And utilizing something that's happened years ago as a way to do something against somebody in the present makes no sense. But you know what? To each their own. Such is their prerogative. John Blair's watching the program. He says, Jerry, Boylan's way too big of a space for the board game conversion, in my humble opinion. However, Charlottesville probably could support a chess bar. I've been to them in other cities, and if you hit the right ambiance and draw the correct customer base, I bet it would be profitable in CVille. Not easy to land the plane, but if it lands, you could make decent margins. Serious chess players tend to be high-income folks who will drop cash to play with others in a quiet space with some nice coffee or alcoholic beverage. Another one that's been presented to me, I think Deep Throat put this on my radar, the ping pong or table tennis bar that you see in Manhattan. Eventually, these concepts, these food and beverage concepts, are going to have to include some kind of omni-experiential component to them that is not just men and women talking to each other at tables or at a bar or even watching a sporting event. Are you not shocked, viewers and listeners, that a sports bar, a true sports bar, has not been birthed in Charlottesville City since Wild Wing Cafe or BW3's closed or moved? You have the Fox Den in Hollymead. The Fox Den is a sports bar. They're doing fantastic stuff. That is in Hollymead Forest Lakes. The likelihood of someone living in Charlottesville City, Eastern Albemarle County, or Western Albemarle in any capacity and driving to the Fox Den and Forest Lakes is slim to none. I am astonished. Wild Wing Cafe, maybe the first restaurant. It was the second restaurant to close in Charlottesville due to COVID and the pandemic. The first was the Downtown Grill. The big restaurants with the big overhead associated with big square feet were the first to close. Downtown Grill was first. Wild Wing Cafe was second. Buffalo Wild Wings moved from Barracks Road Shopping Center to Route 29. Buffalo Wild Wings, when it was in Barracks Road Shopping Center, was a hopping spot all the time. Now it's a shadow of its former self. Ask anyone that goes there and tries it. Mm-hmm. Are you not astonished, viewers and listeners, that a sports bar has not been rebirthed or created in any capacity in Charlottesville City? The sports bar for UVA students, Boylan Heights, is reimagining itself as a board game bar. A board game watering hole.
That doesn't mean they're going to take down the TVs.
The TVs aren't used. The customer base is shrinking. They literally talk about this in the Cavalier Daily article. People are not coming in. Human behavior has changed dramatically since COVID. We're still talking about it, that the human connection that existed with ordering a beer, a cocktail, or a glass of wine, sitting at a bar, potentially next to a stranger, and watching a game that each of you has common interest in, and experiencing that from the first quarter or the first inning to the fourth quarter when the final whistle sounded, the final horn blew, or the ninth inning at 3 outs, the bottom of the ninth at 3 outs, that is shrinking.
Should we address the pink elephant in the room?
And what is the pink elephant?
Since you already mentioned $9 beers, I mean, prices are still going up as well in grocery stores, but you can get a 6-pack for, I believe, still
$13. Yeah, the $9 beer, literally what I said to the general manager, who is a friend, the $9 beer is darn near approaching the cost of the 6-pack.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, we know. Martha Freeman makes this comment: maybe if the IPAs were priced lower, they would sell more beers and food, which would then mean more customers. I hear this all the time when it comes to real estate. Why is the real estate sitting vacant for so long? Wouldn't it make sense for the owners of the real estate or the leasing agents of the real estate to cut the price per square foot or the monthly rent on the real estate, so at least you have a tenant that's paying you something? Mm-hmm. My response to them is always the same. The real estate in Charlottesville in particular is owned by a very small group of people that is extremely well capitalized. They don't care if the real estate sits vacant because they need to maintain price point for the other property that they own. If they slash the price on the vacant storefront and the other tenant hears about it that's next door, a block over, or a couple of miles down the road, they will then want the rent break as well. They're so well capitalized, having the vacancy actually helps them from a tax strategy standpoint. This is what happens when the power is consolidated by few.
So you're saying the people that own most of the property around here are not that different from Dewberry?
I'm saying they are different in that they don't allow the property to become on the cusp of blight. I was on the 8th floor of the Wells Fargo building looking over across the mall a couple of days ago at the Dewberry. It has got weeds and graffiti and trees and mice and rats, and it's clearly being broken into by the homeless.
I mean, it does the same thing that happens everywhere. A building or a place is left abandoned. Nature takes over. Nature returns to itself.
Dewberry, I'll push back on what you said. The folks that own the real estate locally are very different than Dewberry, and that they don't allow the condition of their real estate to get to that. Dewberry has no ties locally to Charlottesville.
I was saying they were like. That's not why I was saying that they were like him, though.
Okay,
because that has nothing to do with like the Dewberry building. How it looks, how nature is taking it back over, has nothing to do with Dewberry.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
How do you say
He doesn't live here. He doesn't plan on doing anything with the building. He gave up, obviously, on doing anything with it. I don't think you can point at the Dewberry and say this is standard for Dewberry.
That's
Really?
absolutely incorrect.
That he does that with everything. You think
Bloomberg, John Dewberry, absolutely incorrect what you're saying. John Dewberry, Bloomberg. Google John Dewberry, Bloomberg. Can you do that now, please?
Okay.
Type into Google John with an H, Dewberry, Dewberry, space Bloomberg. Tell me what the first headline that comes up is.
Atlanta's Emperor of Empty Lots.
This is his plan. It's exactly what his MO is. And he lives in Atlanta and he's doing it. He leaves owned property in key locations empty and approaching eminent domain blight to force the hand of jurisdictions with tax abatement and other perks thrown his way.
Okay. Well, so of course they're not the same in that regard. That doesn't mean they're not similar in other regards.
For example,
wanting to get the most money out of something when you're, like, as you mentioned, so highly capitalized that they could give two squirts about empty businesses. And you're right. Maybe they're not leaving them as eyesores and blights to the community, but they're not that different from Dewberry, who's essentially doesn't care about his properties because he's got so much money. I mean, that's the connective tissue. They've got so much money, they don't care about what they're doing with properties. Could they?
The ones that are leaving
lower
them completely, the ones that are leaving them completely, genuinely vacant, that are local, the landowners, the landlords that are local, it's a tax play.
Okay, I don't care.
It's a strategy.
I know that.
It's the Dewberry one is the opposite of that. Dewberry is just more tied to desperation.
Not for him.
How so?
How is he desperate?
Dewberry just faced a trademark lawsuit.
Yeah.
Where the U.S. Supreme Court demanded from Dewberry tens of millions, like $40+ million.
Okay.
And he didn't have the money. So he had to go sell real estate to fund what was potentially legal bills and a trademark payout that he was losing.
Well, it's too bad he didn't sell the Dewberry.
The Dewberry, it's listed. It's actively for sale.
But nobody's buying it.
The Dewberry is actively for sale right now. He has brokers that are marketing and selling. They've sent me the prospectus, the real estate materials.
Yeah, when was that?
A year ago?
A year ago.
Yeah, but it's being mismarketed.
Okay.
It's being mispriced. He's trying to market this for the value of the steel and the infrastructure and the permitting to give a name brand hotel a head start on developing in what is an under-hoteled market. Instead, what he should do is just cut losses and say the value here is maybe the dirt with a little bit of gravy on top of it. The $4 to $5 million that he was asking for the Dewberry is clearly what the market is saying is not worth that.
Right.
Belmont Market's been on the hush hush for sale for a while. Now it's for sale on the market as with renderings that fancy it as a boutique hotel and as a wine bar on storefront level. Conan Owen asked the question, where are the people going to park for a boutique hotel in Belmont? I have the same question. Has anyone tried to eat at Tavola or the local on a Friday or Saturday night? What are the most popular nights to stay in a boutique hotel in Belmont? Friday or Saturday night. Where is the parking for the boutique hotel and the wine bar? Who's going to lease South Street that's not a brewery? Mm-hmm. How much is it going to cost to reposition South Street into a restaurant instead of a business model where Gen Alpha and Gen Z aren't drinking? Coded also highlights that the Fox Den is selling advertising space under its main television, and it got $5,000 for the year for the ad space under its main TV screen in its sports bar. I think the Fox Den is a genius idea that's clearly it's vertically integrating the sports bar into the soccer team it owns locally, the Charlottesville Blues. James Watson watching the program. In 2007, if you would have told me so many of the corner restaurants would be vacant, iconic places like South Street would be vacant and shutting down, I would never have believed you. Outside of all the drinking and social trends changing, I'm wondering if we simply don't have enough population to support all these places. Vanessa Parkhill, if the price of goods, beers aren't driving the $9 price point, then it's overhead or labor. How does a rising minimum wage, living wage impact the prices bars and restaurants charge? Obviously, property tax, insurance rate increases, and other issues are driving up costs. Proprietors don't just eat that. She's 100% right. I was having a conversation yesterday with Brent Lillard brought this up on the show yesterday, or on the show when he was last on last week. That if the tax rate with that Virginia Democrats are pushing, what's the tax rate they're pushing, Deep Throat? Is it 13.5% the number's going to get to? That he's taking GovSmart, and it's $1 billion, billion with the B in top line revenue, and it's 90 to 100 employees, and relocating them in West Virginia. If it gets to 13.5%, he's taking GovSmart and moving it to West Virginia. I was having a conversation yesterday, with another extremely heavy hitter that said, oh, if that happens, he's absolutely moving out of Virginia. Are we going to be in a position where Virginia Democrats, if they push a 13.5% rate, Deep Throat, you were talking about this, were you not? With you? If we get to 13.5%, are just going to your top 5% of earners are going to say pack up and leave? Yeah. And whether viewers and listeners want to hear this, or whether the Charlottesville subreddit wants to hear it, and there's nothing that gives me more joy than finding our names in the show on the Charlottesville subreddit. I'm trying to go 4 for 4 with 4 consecutive mentions of me or the show in 4 consecutive days. And I may turn this into a game on the I Love CVille show where we turn it into an actual headline. Will the Charlottesville subreddit talk about us today? He knows. Ask him. Do I not enjoy it?
I think you do get a kick.
It's enjoyable. Okay. Whether the Charlottesville subreddit or the dregs of society want to hear this or not, the top 5%. Oh, you want to put Judah can push back on the top 5% of earners. Top 5% are the ones that are driving the economy and the job creation. Brent has 90 to 100 people that report to him. This man that I was talking to yesterday that is even, you're talking probably one of the 15 wealthiest people in Central Virginia, has hundreds of people that report to him. I was sitting in the sauna with someone yesterday that is on the back end of his professional career. This guy's got 8 or 10 cars, 6 or 7 properties, a farm. The cars, we're talking exotic cars, $250,000 cars, a farm, 6 properties. Is on the cusp of selling his company. Investment bankers are knocking on this door with potential buyers. The iBankers take 6% of the deal. He would exit with an obscene amounts of money. He said he's absolutely following what the Democrats are doing. And it might be time to go to South Carolina or Florida or West Virginia. You start charging $9 beers, you get less people coming. You start charging 13.5% tax rates, you get people leaving. Dynamic community we live in. Deep Throat's got some comments that I need to get to. He makes the show better. He says, I'm glad the activists are spending time on the pointless Trump derangement theater because it would do a lot less harm than their usual antics. So it's a gain for Charlottesville. And he says, Judah, he's the emperor of empty lots, John Dewberry. He also says, I think the issue locally is that real estate holdings are very concentrated. So you would rather keep 15% vacancy and defend high lease rates on the remaining 85% than to try to get to 100% occupancy. 100% what I said. This is literally how we make our living. If the market were more fragmented, I think you'd have more owners that are like, I have to fill my one property at any cost. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. In fact, a lot of people don't even know this. A lot of us get together and shoot the bull once or twice a quarter. Those are my words. He also says the $9 beer is an example of what an economist would call an absence of clearing price. The price at which the service can be provided here is not a price that could generate enough demand to support the continued existence of the service. I'll put it in perspective. When the University of Virginia was playing in the who did UVA men's basketball play? Was it what game? This was last week, and I'm drawing a blank. I think UVA played. Was it NC State in the semifinals in the first round of the tournament? Let me just call up the roster, the schedule here. I'm on virginiasports.com. I'm calling up the schedule. My wife and I went there to also celebrate her birthday. UVA played NC State, Thursday, March 12th. NC State. No, you know what? It was the Friday, March 13th game, I think. It was either the NC State game or the Miami game. Had to be the NC State game. All right, I'm getting in the weeds. It was the ACC tournament. We're at a local brewery. The game is on. There was 13 people in the brewery, my wife and I included. There was 5 people sitting at the bar and 8 people at the various tables. This place has phenomenal food, phenomenal beer, phenomenal parking, located in an area that does not have a ton of competition. And there was 13 people in the bar for the Virginia game against NC State. It was concerning. It was concerning. It's something I hadn't seen. I brought it to the point where I brought it up. And he says, Deep Throat, on the taxes with the extra tax on investment income, top marginal would be 13.75%. And Deep Throat says, I would absolutely leave. My wife and our 2 sons, we would leave. We've already been pricing up Austin and Dallas real estate again. Nice. This is literally a man that is saying on the show, and I'm going to respect his discretion, his anonymity. It's 13.75%, and he would take his kids out of school and his wife from the job that she's in and leave. Mm-hmm. Conan Owen, the top earners will flee to lower tax localities. Just look at New York and Illinois and Massachusetts and California. Be careful what you get, what you're asking for. If folks are so anti-capitalism that the top earners flee the Commonwealth, the folks that will be impacted by this are not the top earners. Mm-hmm. It's going to be the people that are on the supply chain of the top earners. Janice Boyce Trevelyan says, and that new law about folks that are minorities for government contracting jobs will absolutely affect Brent Lillard and GovSmart. Olivia Branch, Tina Wyatt Breeden, handsome Hank Martin watching the program. Print, radio, and television watching the program. John Blair I don't know about specific properties, but it's important to know this. A lot of vacancies are due to loan or bond restrictions. Bonds and loans may have certain minimum rents that can't be reached. It's also true as to why you see a lot of mixed-use ground floor commercial vacant. Again, loans or bonds require ground floor to be commercial. Perfect example of this is the Standard on West Main Street, in a student apartment tower on West Main Street that had where Potbelly's was, that never filled its commercial. The Great Eastern Management Company that's doing North Point, locally owned, it went to the Board of Supervisors and it said, we want to do less commercial here than we initially planned. Less commercial. We want to do more multifamily and attached, less commercial. I want to give some love to 919 Druid Avenue, Belmont Cottage, a Cape Cod. It's fantastic, $699,000. Basement apartment that you can lease, completely remodeled, 619 Druid Avenue. Walk to everything. Eventually, ladies and gentlemen, this will, and by eventually, I mean soon, this home is going to be valued at $800,000. This is a good deal for a completely gutted and remodeled 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom home, 2,200 square feet. It's priced at $318 a foot. Remodeled by a reputable builder with an income-producing basement apartment. Everyone's like, $699,000. Whoa, I remember when this was that. I understand. So do I. But those times are gone. And if you don't think when 5,000 to 6,000 people in the next 36 months arrive to this community that this isn't going to have an 8 handle on it, then you're just not understanding that we're reading the tea leaves correctly. Wild times. Such a dynamic community we live in.
No doubt.
All right. Tomorrow's show, Friday's show, is going to be a good one. Friday we got on Real Talk, Ned Galloway, Albemarle County Board of Supervisor, right?
Round table, yeah.
Tony O'Brien, Fluvanna County Supervisor, right?
I think so.
Who else is on that show? Is it one other supervisor? Jesse Rutherford, Nelson County Supervisor.
That sounds about right.
3 supervisors from 3 different jurisdictions on the show on Friday to talk about the dynamic community we live in. Mm-hmm. Don Gathers, thank you for watching the broadcast. We should come on the show, Don Gathers. Vicky Musselman, thank you for watching the show. It's the water cooler of content and conversation. He's Judah Wickower. My name is Jerry Miller, and this is a Wednesday afternoon in a dynamic community that we live within. So long, everybody.